It was a foggy night, the kind where a thick mist draped over Tokyo's narrow streets like a damp curtain. Takashi, a high school student, trudged home with his backpack slung over one shoulder. The clock had ticked past 10 p.m. and the streets were eerily quiet. Only the sound of his boots on the wet cobblestones and the howling wind filled his ears. He couldn't shake a strange feeling, like something was trailing behind him, but every time he glanced back, there was nothing but the swirling fog. Near an old intersection, he spotted a woman standing under the dim glow of a street lamp. She wore a simple outfit and a white surgical mask covered her face. Her long, black hair reached down to her waist, swaying gently in the breeze. At first, Takashi thought she was just a passerby, but as he got closer, she tilted her head and asked in a soft, trembling voice, "Am I pretty?" Takashi froze. Her voice carried a deep sadness, as if she were desperate for an answer. He didn't know what to say. A memory flashed, stories his friends told at school about a woman with a slashed mouth who trapped people. His heart pounded, but he tried to stay calm. Hesitantly, he replied, "Yes, you're pretty." The woman took a step closer and slowly pulled down her mask. Under the yellowish light, Takashi saw something he'd never forget. A mouth slit from ear to ear, raw and bloody, lined with jagged, sharp teeth. The gash was grotesque, as if it had just been carved. She asked again, her voice still shaky, "What about now? Am I still pretty?" Takashi's breath caught in his throat. His legs trembled, but he couldn't run. His mind raced with the tales he'd heard, say no, and she'd cut him down with giant scissors, say yes, and she'd mutilate his face to match hers. He was paralyzed. The woman raised her hand, pulling a massive, rusty pair of scissors from under her clothes. The blade glinted in the light. Suddenly, Takashi remembered something, a trick his friend had mentioned. Kuchisake-onna could be distracted. With shaking hands, he fumbled in his backpack and pulled out a cherry lollipop he'd saved from school. In a hoarse voice, he stammered, Here, take this, it's for you." He thrust the lollipop toward her. The woman paused. Her dark eyes locked onto the candy, confusion flickering in them. The scissors in her hand drooped slightly. Takashi didn't wait, he bolted, running as fast as his legs could carry him. Gasping for air, he reached his house and locked the door behind him. His heart hammered in his chest. Peeking out the window, he saw only the thick fog, no sign of her. He tried to convince himself it was all in his head. But when he opened his backpack to calm his nerves, the lollipop was gone. In its place, a fresh smear of blood stained the pocket. The rain fell like cold, silver blades over the desolate village nestled beside the forest, the wind howling through the brittle branches of barren trees. Haru, a young fisherman with a weary face and scarred hands, trudged back from the river in the dead of night. He'd left his wooden boat by the water's edge, and now, under a tattered paper umbrella, he carried a flickering lantern whose faint light struggled against the thick, rainy mist. The forest around him felt lifeless, no birds, no crickets, just the relentless rasp of rain and the squelch of his boots in the mud. As he reached the rickety wooden bridge over the river, a shiver crawled down his spine, sharp and icy like the breath of a corpse. His lantern sputtered, casting a fleeting glow that revealed a shadow in the mist, a woman standing motionless beneath the bridge. Her white dress clung to her body, soaked and heavy as if she'd been dredged from the river's black depths. Her long, black hair hung like wet snakes, trailing down to the ground. Haru's heart slammed against his ribs. He raised the lantern with a trembling hand and whispered, "Who's there?" The woman lifted her head with a slow, unnatural jerk, like a marionette pulled by unseen strings. Her eyes, too hollow, black pits without pupils, locked onto Haru. Her skin was whiter than bone, streaked with blue veins snaking beneath it. Her lips, bruised and cracked, bore a thin line of dried blood trailing from the corner of her mouth to her chin. A wail rose from her throat, not human, but a guttural, creaking sound like wood splintering under strain, mingled with a wet gurgle that seemed to echo from deep underwater. Haru stumbled back a step, but his boots sank into the bridge's sticky mud, rooting him in place. The woman began to move, not walking, but drifting, her bare feet hovering inches above the sodden ground, her long, dripping fingers stretching toward him. Her hair didn't sway in the wind, it writhed, alive, reaching for Haru like tendrils. The lantern flickered again, and for a moment it illuminated her face. Yellow, broken teeth jutted from beneath her lips, and a crooked, ghastly smile twisted her features into something inhuman. "Help me," she rasped, her voice a hollow croak that seemed to claw its way up from a well, rough and broken, accompanied by a wet, choking rattle that burrowed into Haru's ears. His breath caught, trapped in his chest. "What do you want?" he shouted, his voice cracking with terror, but she only drifted closer. Her hand, gaunt and frigid, reached for his lantern, her bony fingers brushing the light. With a sharp hiss, the flame snuffed out, plunging Haru into suffocating darkness as the wind tore his umbrella away with a vicious snap. A louder wail erupted behind him, closer now, so close he could feel it vibrating against the back of his neck. Haru didn't think. He ran, his feet slipping in the mud and water, his ragged breaths mingling with the wind's shrieks. Every few steps, he felt icy fingers graze his nape, a touch so cold it burned. When he reached his house, he slammed the wooden door open, threw himself inside, and bolted it shut. Gasping, he pressed his back to the wall, his chest heaving. The silence of the house was broken only by the drumming rain, until a faint, mournful wail crept from just outside the window. Summoning what little courage he had, he peered through the glass. There, in the mist, stood her shadow, still and unyielding beneath the downpour, her hair plastered to the window like spiderwebs. Her empty eyes seemed to bore into his soul. Haru staggered back, his legs buckling beneath him. The next morning, he forced himself to return to the river. Beneath the bridge, he found only a scrap of white fabric, soaked and rotting, stained with blood the rain couldn't wash away. From that day on, whenever the rain fell, he heard the wail, soft, distant, relentless, and sometimes, in the dim reflection of his mirror, a shadow lingered behind him, inching closer with every storm.